Welcome back to another episode of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast. I don't know if I should go like this, like the Counselor Podcast, where we are your guide post 30-day treatment. We're trying to figure out this intro, but we are here to talk about mental health and recovery addiction topics. And my name is Manny Romero, and I got my friend, the man, the myth, the legend, Jesse L. the Counselor. What's up, Jesse?
What's up, Mr. Therapist? This week, we're going to talk about that pink cloud. Am I on one right now? Am I floating?
That pink cloud, baby.
The P-I-N-K. The P-I-N-K.
The pink stuff.
That's right.
That's right. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, share the show if you find some value, and submit your questions. We are gathering questions for each show. We'll answer your questions. We'll give you a shout out if you'd like. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we can keep you anonymous. Whatever.
We'll send you free swag. You want a free T-shirt?
Oh, we have one T-shirt.
We'll send you that one T-shirt
that I've worn.
3 times.
Yeah, it's like the soccer athletes, right? You want their sweaty shirt. It's more worth more value.
There you go.
But yeah, man, what's up, dude? How you doing?
What's going on, dude? We're the LeBron and Luca podcasting, right?
That's right. I'm Luca. You
LeBron because I'm older and my hair's starting to fall out and shit like that. So I can't see. I guess.
Okay.
I know, man. Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Checking in. I'll check in right now. I think I shared a little bit last time that we met up, just about that steady decline of my health. No, I'm still trying to figure things out. January to me is one of those months where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? There's a lack of motivation in January for me. I think I've told you this before. I mean, I'll tell our viewers. It's like I do really like the holidays, but there's a bit of a drop off for me. But I felt very just stagnant in January. Like I wasn't moving too much. Even I think it was the very first couple days in February. I'm like, it's still January, right? And I'm like, no, it's February. Like I gotta light a fire under my ass to get going here. So I mean, I was also sick here and there. So it's just, I don't know, man. I know it's not a rough start to 2025. I'm just like, I gotta check myself and I gotta get motivated. It's cool though. We're podcasting again. That's another thing that we weren't doing or what I was kind of usually doing. So it's other things I need to incorporate in my life, like just self-care, balance. But
think about that. This is for you, right? Like you like doing this. Like this is something that you could say I'm doing this for me.
Yeah, this is something I'm like, this is cool. This was another thing I kind of put on pause. So when you have 2 kids, as you know, you have 3 kids, you put a lot of yourself towards that. I've talked to you about this before. You lose yourself a lot in that new role. I think I'm now, I think I am better as being a dad, knowing who I am identity wise, but it's still very hard to sacrifice so much. I've never sacrificed this much in my entire life. So it's just the simplest things that I used to do, I just don't get to do. So it's just it's accepting what it is right now, realizing at some point in time I'll slowly get those things back. It's kind of I'm kind of serving a higher purpose in a lot of ways. But I know it's a good purpose and it brings me, and there's a lot of love behind it and joy. So I'm feeling content right now in a second. Talk to me. Yeah. Huh?
We'll have to check in with you moment by moment.
Yeah, for reals. Yeah.
That's inspiring, man. That's awesome. And it's also a fine line, right? Of how much we give of ourselves for that higher purpose. And also needing to take care of ourselves. And as I'm talking to you, I'm telling myself that. So absolutely. Yeah, man.
How many times you go to the gym a week?
You know what? I try to go 3 times, but lately I've been doing 2. This week I only went 1. Yeah.
That's good, man. I'm impressed.
Yeah,
you're looking fit as a fiddle, dude.
You know what, dude? I've been changing my diet, so I think that's really helping getting that protein, in those macros.
Yeah. Less
Uh,
carne asada, is that what you're saying?
yeah, this could also be a filter. You don't know that, right? Like,
True. This cameraman that you got off Amazon looks good.
I could be catfishing you right now.
Mm.
Yeah, man. Thank you for asking how I'm checking in, though. I appreciate that. You're so amazing with checking in with me. You didn't ask me that.
Yeah, I said, how you checking in?
Look at, look at me getting all toxico. You know what toxico means?
Yeah, it means toxic.
Yeah, it means toxic, and
Yeah, dude. I'm pretty
it's
fluent in
common.
Spanish.
It's commonly used with my people, my culture, my Mexican culture, when someone's a little extra, right, emotional. So,
Yeah.
so you saw my insecure side there a little bit, but yeah, checking in. I'm doing okay. I'm moving through the week. I think last time I said I'm tired. I'm still tired. As you can see, I
Oh, I
haven't
started
had time to
yawning. I started
change.
yawning. What's that?
As you can see, I haven't had time to change
Bro, what's up, dude?
from our last recording.
I do that laundry before the episodes.
But I wanted to check in about something important that's been like happening. So I'm supervising students who are training to be therapists, and then I'm also doing the private practice myself. So there's been a big theme coming up recently. You might have noticed this, but just I feel like we always get political in this episode in this show when we don't want to, but
There
like
you go.
but around a lot of fear and anxiety around like the Latino culture right now, the Latino people, and so I'm experiencing a lot of that in practice, and a lot of that with my students who, with their clients, they're talking about having conversations around that, and so I went to a cousin's funeral on marriage. Freudian slip, right?
Same thing. Something's dying, you know what I'm saying?
We promote weddings and marriages here now. No, but I
How
went
about
to
love? Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. So,
Happy Valentine's Day. We are. I went to a cousin's wedding, dude, and a lot of my family didn't go because they were afraid of the with the immigration raids and all that. So it's kind of just a tough feeling, a heavy feeling, I guess. Just kind of like that people like just the impact that it's having on like people that are close to me.
yeah.
So I feel like I'm feeling that this week.
That's
So
intense, man. That's intense.
yeah, and then trying to find a way to support clients, support students, and support family too, in the middle of it all. So that's kind of where I am.
Can I speak on that quickly, not or briefly? Just like the last time we recorded, I think. Or no, I'm sorry. We just recorded an episode. But when we took our little break, like one of the things that we were going to talk about was like the fallout of like the political, the election. And I think January 2 was you're getting more of that, like a little uncertainty of what's going to happen next, and so that's even more cause for people to like, reach out and talk to people on whatever your feelings, whatever your fears are. There's a lot of change going on. And as you and I both know, a lot of people, when it comes to change, it's never really a comfortable thing. They like things to be the way they are. Whether that could be very unhealthy, or it could be even the smallest, healthiest change. So it's a challenge. So like, yeah, reach out and talk to people. Let them know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, to reduce, that fear, and also just try to monitor like how much you're taking on. I mean, I didn't really get too post election. I haven't really bought. I'm not biting down too much on what's going to happen next. I'm kind of just doing me right now. I've kind of like I'm staying away from social media. I still look on like how Mr. Therapist and the counselor podcast are doing in the sense of like our reels on TikTok and Instagram. But like, I'm not trying to dive right too much into the political front because like that could just be so exhausting. So, but I also recognize like you mentioned family members, like, yeah, they have legit fears and concerns. I'm not trying to like downplay that whatsoever.
Yeah,
So,
100%, and it's good that you're doing that. I think, and I would encourage listeners to do that as well because I think it's just like media sells fear, right? and so
Yeah.
and so that's a big part of how they get eyes and how they get views, and it's a business. And as much as real shit is happening, there's also this like business and media attention piece happening. And so I think taking care of yourself, disconnecting, pacing yourself with that stuff, I think is an important thing to all this. So absolutely, man.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Um, you wanted to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, I want to ask you. I was like, you watched that show Shrinking, right?
I do. Me and the
You and your
wife.
wife watched that show.
Yeah, she loves
Um,
that show. By the way,
why does she love that show?
she loves that. I think she loves. She gets real like. She's kind of like you in a lot of ways. She gets attached to the
Characters.
characters,
Okay.
and I think she loves the love stories that happen between the characters.
Okay.
I don't know. I gotta ask her this. I wonder if a part of her also like gets intrigued by the therapists.
Yeah.
Um, how the therapist job looks and stuff like that. Yeah, but
Yeah, you should ask her.
I should ask her. I don't haven't talked to her in like months. So, yeah, no, I definitely will. What do you
All
like this?
right.
You guys?
So this is one of the shows actually I quit. I was not feeling it. I love Harrison Ford. I love Han Solo. I love Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is incredible. I watched the show primarily for him. I stuck with it, but I had a real beef with the show. Is that like I think Jason Segel, his character, is like the worst therapist of all time. I'm
Mm.
so bothered by how unethical he is. The fact that like listen, the fact
That's
that he was
part of the show, though.
yeah, but I don't like that shit. Like I listen, I'm all about being like out of the box and like trying to be innovative, but like homeboy had like a client living in his fucking house. I was like, this is not like I don't know. I was so like I don't know why it bothered me so much that it was like this is not it's this is so this would could not happen. You know what I'm saying? I was so bothered by it. And I don't think it's funny that you said your wife likes the characters on the show. I found myself like not liking a lot of the characters at all, particularly like Jason Segel. I was like, this guy really bothers me a lot. I'm not. I probably have to do like a self reflection. I'm like, does he remind me of somebody? Is that me? I don't like myself. No, I don't think so. But like, I really, I quit on the show. I just could not do it. I was like, this is
Yeah,
a presentation right now. So
yeah. I connect with him a lot. I think like just that feeling of like wanting to like help so badly that you're just like questioning like the ethics of things. Not that I cross that ethical line, but I think there's that
yeah,
part of me sometimes that like really wants to prove either to myself or to other people that like I'm a good therapist, and I think that's his struggle there. But if I don't know what season did you stop watching? Or,
one, I quit.
okay,
Done.
I think it gets good. I would encourage you to pick it back up.
I was trying to, man. There's a chance I could. I'm still kind of telling myself sometimes, like since I've already watched so many episodes in season one, I'm like maybe I should try to pick it back up because I've heard good stuff. What was your problem with the show? You said you don't like the or
I didn't.
something about.
So what I didn't like about the show is how it makes it look like therapists like have like make bank. Like these guys have nice houses, like and they're like single income, and like they work like once in a while they'll see a couple clients, and I'm like, that is not reality,
There you
man.
go.
That is not how
That was
that
your
is.
Peter right there. Okay.
They have time to like have lunch and like like, oh, let's go do this, let's go. I'm like, no, like that is not how it works.
That's funny, man. I didn't even think about that at all. Like my ass is broke over here and stuff like
I
that.
know. Yeah, so it's an interesting show. Yeah.
There's a chance I go back to it. So, um, but yeah, the topic this week we're going to talk about is what is we're going to talk about the pink cloud, what
We're
that
talking about the
is,
pink cloud.
what that encompasses. You want me to kick it off, or you do you have like a definition of what the pink cloud is?
Yeah, I can pull one up real quick. Let's see. So the pink cloud is something that people usually experience when I didn't find a lot of research about people in mental health programs, but in substance addiction treatment programs, I feel like this is where really it shows up a lot. The pink cloud effect is used in addiction recovery to describe the euphoric and optimistic phase that some people experience in the early stages of sobriety.
Yeah.
Um, it often happens right after detox or within a few weeks or months of recovery, when individuals feel a sudden sense of relief, happiness, and hope as they begin to heal physically and emotionally.
Yeah, it's the idea of kind of like if you start to feel kind of unstoppable, like you're very high on life. I experienced it this last week. This client, um, he was telling me just how he had such a really good week, right? And he's walking through like some really good interactions with the family. He found himself not getting like irritated about small things. He said like, just he was optimistic, overall, as we were kind of talking about. And I had to like say, hey, listen. I told him, I said, listen. I said, this is great. And I was like, I think that it's good to have these really positive moments in early recovery. But I just got to put this out here, and I really don't want to rain on your victories here. But I was like, you could be pink clown just a little bit here,
Mhm.
and I referenced it in the sense of like I didn't want to like disregard his like good experience in the last week, and no way did I actually feel like he was like overly feeling like overconfident and thinking like there weren't going to be bad days, coming his way. But I just wanted to say like just a reminder, like this is a good feeling, but this good feeling will go away at some point in time, and you're going to have hard days. And that's when I think a lot of times people are really put to the test in sobriety, recovery, whatever you want to call it, because it's like when that euphoric feeling, um, that optimism starts to kind of fade away, we start going real negative, and it's like we go back to what we know. So I think, yeah, I had to really kind of give him a little like disclaimer here. Enjoy this while it lasts, because I don't know if it's gonna last. So
Yeah, for sure. So as a drug and alcohol counselor, you worry when you see someone experiencing the pink cloud effect.
yeah, I think also you got to remember, as we talk about here, is that like I work in a 30-day program, so people come in and they've stopped using drugs and alcohol for a little while. And all of a sudden they realize like, man, my life kind of sucked. Like I was, health wise, I'm seeing all these health benefits of not being on substances. My thinking is coming back a little bit. You're having these moments of clarity, on top of like, the probably guilt and shame of how you've hurt people, and you're like, I don't want to be that way. And then like you get a good, conversation with a wife or a husband or a kid, and you're like, hey, I'm forgiven. Like I'm good. Like
You're full
I
of therapists who are just affirming the shit out of you, right? Like,
yeah, and it's like I've almost taken the other direction recently in the last. You don't get to see this, but I've been more like I'm not the person that pats you on the back anymore. I'm still like I'm supportive, but I'm like I want to be the reality check because you're having so many people like you're doing so good, and it's just like your head's getting pumped with all this positive, optimistic stuff, but it's kind of fake. It's a little bit of a fugazi, You're like, yeah, there's a fear that people will think like this is how life is going to be, and even though they'll say, "Well, I know this isn't real life because I'm in this bubble of accountability," and I'm just like, I think that you know that, but I think you are also starting to believe that maybe your life isn't going to be problematic anymore. Um,
the balance there, though. Don't you feel like there's got to be a little bit of like positive support? If a client's going into treatment full of shame and guilt and stay in shame and guilt, like they might lose that motivation. So I
it
imagine
is.
there's got to be a balance of like positive support with like realism, and even a little bit maybe of like scaring them a little bit of like, hey, like it's not going to be this easy once you leave.
It is. It's give and take. You don't want to like completely destroy somebody, but like you also have to like shine a little light on like it's the idea of consequences. I think that people we have to take responsibility for what we done, and if we get like an apology here or there, I don't like when people get apologies real quick because I feel like you got to earn some of the you have to earn some of the stuff because you've created a lot of damage. It's almost the idea of people forgiving themselves too quickly. Like I'm not a fan of that. Like I do hope that people can forgive themselves over time, and working through therapy or through the steps, like other things like that will help increase that. But like when it's like, have you ever like done something wrong and somebody forgives you too quickly? It kind of like loses the purpose on like the mistake. Like you don't take responsibility for it. You kind of like, oh wow, like my parents didn't really punish me for that, so is that really that bad of a deal? Like maybe I can do it again or try it again, or maybe I can get away with something again. So it's just like there's got to be some type of like accountability, as I keep saying,
The
for that.
consequence that you
Yeah,
experience that
yeah,
hurts, maybe.
yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Would you say like overall, there's a question we got in, like, is the pink cloud effect like is that a bad thing? Is it like considered bad?
I think it is considered a bad thing. Yeah, because I think that when you get somebody's head in the clouds, sometimes it's hard to bring them back to reality. I think as soon as they get a taste of like things are so good, I think that the next like negative thing that comes their way, it's really like it throws them for a loop. Like I don't, in some ways maybe they can't recover. So no, I think the pink cloud thing is ultimately not a good thing because you want that natural. My hope is like naturally at some point in time you just are proud of like what you've done and the progress you've made. But like peak cloud will come to people like I said like in a couple weeks, like and I know I said I read somewhere the pink cloud could last like a week or months. But it does. I think it does. It happens pretty early. A lot of times I feel, at least in my experience, in people going through programs or in recovery. So no, I would say getting the pink cloud effect is like let's bring that person back to reality as soon as possible because it's a dangerous thing. So
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
dangerous in the sense you're carrying a gun and you're gonna hurt yourself, but just like the thinking. So
yeah, I think like I don't want people to like think we're not saying you should be happy or that you should
no,
like
not at all, not at
like you
all.
said, be proud, right? Or feel good about the steps you're taking. There's a difference. I think when you're thinking about pink cloud, it maybe it's more of an intense euphoria that
Yeah,
feels like it just feels it almost feels like too good. It's almost you're in a place where you disregard like the possibility of a relapse or the possibility that something will be challenging or difficult, right? Or
right.
even the reality that you're going to struggle, you're going to continue to struggle because you're so early in your recovery process. So that's what the pink cloud is, as opposed to feeling happy. I would say is those come in moments. Like there's
Yeah,
moments of joy,
yeah.
moments of laughter, moments of like peace of mind that you experience. I feel like that's a little healthier for those moments to come and to be a little kind of fleeting a little bit, right? Like as you're doing recovery.
Yeah, I think those things are nice because you can cherish those things and be like, you feel good or feel accomplished. Like I remember like moment for me when I was getting sober was I was working at a working at a Harbor Freight, or it was like kind of like it was kind of like a Home Depot but a lot smaller. And I was working. It was December. It was snowing. I was like outside, like I was playing with chainsaws. That's another story for another time. But I remember like this moment of like, do I feel like normal again? And once again, the word normal, there's really no such thing. But like what I meant was like, was my body starting to like kind of feel what it felt like before using drugs? And I was like, oh yeah, like I don't really have like the withdrawal symptoms, and like there was a moment of just like aha, and like this is good, like this is kind of
Mm.
cool. Like I'm not struggling. I mean, I'm not struggling with the physical ailments, and like that was like a really nice like kind of happy moment for me. And then I went along with my day and I kept going, but it was a mental check of like, oh, this is another step in like healing, another step in healing. So like yeah, the pink cloud is like is as you mentioned like a euphoric like my gosh like just yeah you're just kind of losing touch with reality of what's really happened or what really could happen. So
What do you think, like, when you've had someone who's had this experience? You mentioned about someone who you called out a little bit. What's that? How does that usually go? Like, do people respond well to that? Like, are they able to get that reality check, or like, is that like, yeah, like, is that a likely thing that would happen, or do they just like sort of like rub you off and say, you know what, get the hell out of here, like you don't know what you're
I
talking
think I was gonna be like it's situational, but I'm not gonna give you a bullshit like response like that. I would say that like usually if you try to check people, when I think about it, when you check somebody in pink cloud, kind of mentality, they're not really happy with that. They're like, let me just feel this. I want to feel good. And you're wrong. You don't
Mm.
know shit about this. I think most people are they're badly trying to like go back to what it was, and maybe they're also trying not to really like take responsibility for things. We don't want to feel more guilt. We don't want to feel more shame. So I think a lot of times people, if you tell them like, hey, this is not real. Like this feeling you have, it's not a real sense of what's really going on. Like I think as people we tend to like, especially people in recovery, they're just resistant, right? Like they're resistant to new ideas, they're resistant to suggestions. Once again, occasionally you will get some people that are just like, I'm really ready to surrender. And people do really enjoy like when I could be very direct. People are like, I like your probing questions. I like that you're pretty resistant or very just forthcoming with things. So I'm not resistant. But yeah, I'd say a lot of times people don't want to hear that that pink cloud is not real.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think I'm reading a little bit through here, and so it said this article kind of talks about what happens after the pink cloud ends, and it's and I've seen this happen actually because when I was working in a treatment program, they would go from 30 days to like outpatient.
yeah,
In outpatient, it would be almost like a little bit of a test run because they would go back home, whether that was with a wife, partner, or parents or family. They would go back home, and so they would experience a different environment. There's not a therapist around all the time. There's not a support group around all the time. And something that happened is, once that pink cloud goes away, people experience this disillusionment, this frustration, even like a hopelessness around like, man, this is like not gonna be easy, and you almost kind of want to capture someone there, like you want someone to be in an outpatient program when they're going through that, right?
yeah,
And you're almost like, I don't know about you, but like I remember I was working at we were at the place where you were working at now, and we would have residential, outpatient, and the outpatient, almost like you always expected them coming out like super happy, super encouraged out
yeah,
of 30-day residential, but then you kind of like were waiting for that other shoe to drop. You were waiting for the tough moment to come because you knew it was coming, because
yeah.
now they're out exposed to the world, and you know that like they're going to face a challenge. And so I remember actually a lot of clients dealing with that. um, and so I think a big message that I want to take home here is like, do that outpatient. You know what I mean? Like get yourself more treatment than what you think you need.
I think it's that whole. It goes back to the idea of like people see choice when it comes to like if we're focused strictly on like addiction, but like or alcoholism, whatever you want to call it. Like I think they see the big huge choice component, the whole disease concept. Like when you if you break a bone, right? Like you didn't have a choice in breaking the bone. It's broken. You're gonna listen to the doctors. The doctor's gonna tell you like, hey, you need to take, let's say they say do 4 weeks in the hospital, 8 weeks of like, let's just say some type of outpatient, like
Mm.
to make sure your arm heals. Like, and occasionally you'll have somebody be like, nah, my arm's feeling pretty good. Fuck you, I'm fine, right? But
Yeah.
mostly when it comes to certain like symptoms, like they're gonna follow a doctor's order. There's just so much choice with this a lot of times. So like, and so it makes people they're more willing to like, be resistant to the idea of like accepting like medical advice or truth with this. To your point, yeah, I think it's so important for anybody that's just like they're really committed to this idea, like really heal yourself, heal that broken part of you, I guess, in some ways. Like, because if it was cancer, like you wouldn't have these fights and arguments. People would take direction. But because it's addiction and there's a choice kind of aspect to it, people will just, man, they're not going to they're just not going to do it. They want to take the power back in a lot of ways. So, and the pink cloud, yeah, they just get so ahead of them. They get ahead of themselves so much.
Do you think the family experiences the pink cloud?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just reading too, the pink cloud. It doesn't have to be just for addiction as well, but like when it comes to family, for sure, I think there might be this like kind of like optimism, like, man, my son's really got it now. Like my daughter's really, she's doing it. Like she's had these breakthroughs and these experiences, and it's we you know because we want good for our family members, right? So I think I can most definitely see that the idea. And we kind of turn a blind eye. Like you see it all the time is like they'll be like, yeah, you can move back into our house. Like you went to this program, like you really like the program. You seem to have changed a little bit. Of course you can move back in. Like even though the fact that we kicked you out before and that was the hardest thing we've ever had to do. Yeah, we can you can move back in and you can have this back. It's kind of like
Roll back
because
on
we
the boundaries. They got you to treatment.
all the boundaries then all of a sudden get dismissed because you're just kind of like you're pink you have this pink cloud effect of like I'm gonna be so overly optimistic that I'm not seeing reality. So
I also think that, like, if you think about the energy and effort it takes to get someone into treatment, like, it's not like you tell someone, hey, I think you should go to treatment, and they're like, oh, yeah, you're right, I should. It's rarely that. It's usually a struggle, and it's months and months and months of, like, talking, convincing, and, like, getting lied to, and, like, them running away from you, and you trying to, like, get them in. And so if you think about that challenge of hitting up against that wall of like, someone going into treatment and admitting they need help, finally they go in, right? Finally they go in. And as a family member, you might be like thinking the war is done, right? Like
yeah,
we won the war, like we did it, we got him in, and he's gonna get in there, and he's gonna get all these amazing tools and learn how to stop drinking, and it's gonna be great. And even sometimes, I would say like treatment centers might participate in that
yeah,
because they have to sell the program to you, right? Like
yeah,
they want to get the client, right? And so it sucks, but it's a part of it. Like treatment centers will sell that to the family of like once they get in here, we'll work with them. They'll love it. You'll come away 30, 60, 90 days sober. And so it really, I think, creates this expectation that it's going to get easier from there. And
yeah.
that's never really the case.
Yeah, this is and not to scare anybody listening, but this is a lifelong process. So, and it doesn't, and when I say lifelong process, it's just us as people. We want to constantly make improvements, and things will get better in comparison to where they were like in those first 30 days. But we gotta let it breathe, give it some time. We can't rush it. So,
Yeah.
um, nothing's fixed overnight, So, but
Um, do you have anything else on
yeah.
this? I've a couple questions that we can kind of go over, right? That we got from viewers, and one of them, Jess, I'll hit to you is like, what are some strategies that I can employ to smoothly reintegrate uh, into my daily routine, while at the same time, like keeping everything that I learned from the mental health program that I went to.
Um.
So I say that again if you want me to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what strategies can I employ? Can I add into my life to smoothly reintegrate back into life after treatment?
Um. Strategies. I mean, based on whatever you developed in the program, I mean, it's just continuing to find ways to create like self help and self care. So like I don't know, like journaling is probably a big thing for a lot of people that go through programs. That's what it's communication for me. So it's like if it's getting the resources like a therapist or getting whatever group that's a support group for you, writing, other like healthy aspects like exercise, like making them incorporating them more a part of your life. Whatever you stole from that program, that experience that you had, like it's kind of like the home edition of your experience. Is like you put it in your pocket, you take it with you, and like you kind of lay it out and go, okay, now I'm gonna start doing more of this because I really like doing yoga now. Like so, it's making these things. Making in some ways, even though it might be really hard, is make the treatment center your life in some ways because you're still gonna have your life and that includes like work and relationships and all that stuff. But like it's the best of both worlds. It's somehow making them blend, and that's going to take a little time. So, do you have any
Yeah,
thoughts on that question?
yeah. I think. I mean, you said some of it. I think like our big thing here, right, is like get a therapist, right? Like, I think that's it right there. Like don't stop working on whatever you're working on just because you feel good and you've completed something. Um, and I said this earlier today, but like sign up for an outpatient program. I think, if you think about leaving a treatment center and going back into the world, that's a phase, that's a transition phase. And
Yeah.
transition phases are what becomes the most stressful for people, and where people start to abandon the tools that they've learned, because it transition phases creates change. People
Yeah.
don't like change. Change can put you in a stress response, fight or flight response. You forget everything that you cognitively learned because you don't have it so automatic yet. And so I would say prepare for that change, right?
Yeah.
Like surround yourself, hit an outpatient program, go to groups, those support groups that maybe the place is offering you. Go to therapy. If you got to go like 2-3 times a week, like set that up for yourself so that you are transitioning into life normally. It's kind of what I would say to that. Let's see. This is a good one. I have another question here. Just what role should my family and friends play in my recovery? How can I communicate my needs to them?
Um, well, I think we've talked about this in some form is that family really needs to, if you don't change or if the family doesn't change, like it's going to be hard for you to be successful. And in the sense is like I think that they have to like educate themselves. So you practicing like how you want to incorporate your family more, making suggestions, also suggestions of what they're comfortable. My hope is that if a healthy family member would want to like, hey, yeah, I'll read this book about this, or like maybe I too need to like find a way to like go to therapy or
Stop
get
drinking.
yeah, yeah. So like it's you don't want to come out and be like you don't want to come out of a program and be like, yeah, I know everything now and this is what you should do. You need therapy as well. Like it's all the way that you present it, but I think like family is crucial. I think for somebody to really be successful in treatment for mental health or addiction. So like I think suggesting your needs or saying your needs and working together as a family. It's and also setting boundaries though of like realizing maybe this is as much as family could do at this point in time. It's like that's the whole idea of like if you were going to relapse, would you go tell your mom and dad? I don't know if you should probably already have people in your life that you can talk to, like maybe a friend or a therapist or a sponsor. Like I'm not saying lie to your parents, but just like they're also going to take it a lot differently than somebody who's kind of like working side by side with you. So
They might not be able to handle the truth, right?
yeah, it's just they're just
Handle the truth.
once again, they might be on their pink cloud of like, wait, what? We just put
Yeah,
you through the program and you're so happy, and now you want to shoot heroin again? Like, oh my
especially
god!
if they utilize their resources to get you there, right? Like they might really take that hard, you know.
That's why they might not be the audience for that. Some people have argued with me on that, and because but I'm, like, once again, I'm not suggesting not to tell them the truth at some point in time, but like to bounce off ideas about certain things. You got to build a team a little bit. So family's part of the team.
What if it's someone who is going to treatment, getting out of treatment, their family wants to be involved, but they don't want their family to be a part of that recovery? Like, is that okay? Like, do you think that?
I think, ooh, I respect a client having the right to like kind of work on their own stuff, but I think it's important for family to share some of their perception. I think it was helpful for me to hear other people's views of me because
Mm,
it is because they are a good resource though. I think this is the thing. Like if you let family in, so I would say yeah, I would allow family in some ways because depending on how healthy the family is,
that's a
once
good
again,
caveat. Yeah.
yeah, you have some really toxic family members out there. So, but like, if you have somebody that is like overall like pretty supportive and healthy, like it might be good to hear their experience so you can learn and grow from like what they saw because yeah, because other people's perception, as I think you see it like is when you're in a group therapy setting, like it's so helpful to hear somebody else's experience. Go, wow, like I have only seen it this way, and now that I've heard your view, I'm like, wow, that's really eye opening. So I think family, depending on how healthy family is, I think it's pretty necessary. So
Yeah. That's a good caveat about like how healthy the family is. If someone's berating you and shaming you and like making you feel like shit all the time. Like, yeah, maybe there's some limits that need to be sort of put there, right?
Yeah,
And go ahead.
I was gonna say just real quickly, I had a family member recently call like their son, and he was under the influence of alcohol, and like the son thought that they had this really great moment. He knew that his father was drunk, but he was still like, now this is like my dad's never showed this type of emotion, and like he thought he's like this is gonna be a good thing. And then the next conversation they have, I didn't mean I'm not laughing at it. I'm just kind of like it's very sad, but like the father ends up being like back to his normal self, controlling and
Mm,
and so the son was like really disappointed, like let down. So that like that type of family member would be like, you need to take a step away. You're not
yeah,
really a person. I don't see you being shouldn't maybe somebody shouldn't be in that person's life for right now, you know. So it's just
right.
yeah. But
Yeah,
anyways, you
I was gonna say that I think that like if you're, I think I would give a client permission to like, or permission to set boundaries with their family, especially early on if they're not feeling very sure about how that's going to go. But
yeah,
I would say with this caveat of like, but find a therapist or a place where you can work through that, because you don't know if that anxiety that you have around your family is it real, or is it just your own anxiety, your own fear, but
yeah,
maybe your family is supportive, right? And so like really having a space where you can explore that, how much you let them in, what at what point you set the boundary and put, don't let them in further than that. And so kind of so you can assess what that line looks like for you between you and your family.
yeah. I think yeah, because and it's a touchy subject because like families are so triggering, but it's a lot about it's just about trust too. It's like maybe that person that you're working with, that therapist, if they seem like they're really going to be a person that's going to be in the middle and be supportive of you, and also just have your intentions in mind when they bring in certain family members. Like it's but to your point, I think it's good to have, it is good to have healthy family, like just for their view on things. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Um, I think like the big takeaway here with this, Jess, I think would say like just to watch out for that pink cloud effect, right?
yes,
Like watch out for those like high highs that can happen, in mental health and substance use recovery, that usually happen right as you get help, and that can happen for both the family and for the person that's getting the help, right? And um, I don't know, what would you say? Like, just wait it out. Like, find yourself to. I guess a part of me, I would probably say like, whatever plan you created, whatever you committed to, was like, hey, like, can you commit to more? Right? Can you commit to more time in treatment? Can you commit to like, how do you commit? Like you said this best. This is lifelong. Like, how
yeah,
can you continue to implement what you're doing here, even when you leave, so that you have guardrails, so that you're not just like going like, okay, like, someone who just learned to ski and now they're going to hit the biggest freaking mountain, right? Like, yeah, how do you create those guardrails for yourself?
yeah. I think it's just that I think you really got to check your ego at the beginning of this thing. Like you don't know any better, and it's hard to tell somebody like, hey, like you don't know anything about your own life, but like in some ways you don't. So just like let go, like trust in a process, even though that's really scary. But and just like what you thought was real isn't anymore, and it's just it's taking a step back and letting somebody else like take control for a little while. Just try it out, and if it fails, then it fails. It wasn't a fit, So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
cool.
Stuff, man.
All right,
Uh,
brother.
awesome, brother. I'll just tell everybody, like, please, if you kind of heard something here that you have questions on, or you want to add to the discussion, let us know. Manny at MrTherapistMFT.com. The counselor and myself can answer any questions you guys have. Also, please subscribe to the channel and share the show. If you found some value, my name is Manny Romero. Jesse O.
Always check in on your friends. Till next time.
Got my name, tag it home today. I'm Jack. Greet you like I give a fuck. Are you surprised by that?